Utilizing our training guide and PTC checklist for fire stations, we're going to talk about some fire stations. Depending on vessel type and size, you may or may not have a fire hose, garden hose, or some other method of firefighting on board. Today we're going to look at firefighting hose. A fire station will have a positive shutoff valve at the end and hose location. Fire hose will be connected and stored in either a rack or neatly rolled up. On the end will be a fire nozzle. Should be Coast Guard approved if required, and also come with a straight stream or variable fog pattern. Fire station should be marked as applicable as well, as you see here, and shall also have a spanner wrench available with which to loosen connections that are made tight under pressure, not while the hose is under pressure. When conducting your visual inspection of the hose itself, we're going to start where it's connected to the fire main. Verify that your coupling is in good shape and moves if it's not tightened. Verify hose condition at the coupling itself. Oftentimes you'll find a black mark used during hydrostatic testing. If you see that separated back from the actual coupling itself, it may indicate a bad hose. We're going to follow the hose all the way through the rack. Verify there's no obvious nicks, cuts, or frays. Looks like it will hold pressure. If you ever have a question, you can always have the hose extended, pressurized, and flow water through it. An important thing to look for when you're seeing it stowed in a rack like this is where these ends are and how they lay down on each other. If this is flat, squished down, this portion of the hose on the inside is rubber. We'll develop a hard spot and or dry rot on the inside, so when it expands under pressure, you may develop cracks here where you'll develop leaks. If at any time during your inspection of the fire station or of any fire station on board, if you come across a hose that you think may or may not pass an operational test, by all means, have the operator pull the hose from the station and bring it out to a location where we can actually attach it and flow water through it. If it's satisfactory, everything's good, they can place it back in service. It's also handy to not just use the uppermost portions of the fire main system to test, but also lower portions to test. As we talked about earlier, whereas fire main systems can build up sediment in the lines lower in the system, it's a good handy tip to have them bring a bucket and open and drain out any water that might be in that standpipe system. It actually shows the operator that there is sediment that builds up in there, and it's a good learning tool tip to pass on to your operators, show them that this is some of the preventive maintenance they can do on their side. An additional piece of equipment you might find connected to your fire station is a foam proportioner. As such, foam proportioners are used to take concentrated foam and introduce it to the fire hose for application at the fire nozzle. If you do find a proportioner, it will be attached to your hydrant, between your hydrant and your hose. Oftentimes you may see them put in correctly, either backwards, where the proportioner is in the wrong way, or it'll be at the nozzle end. If you find it either way, bring it up immediately to the operator and correct it on the spot. It's important to note that this should be installed at the hydrant and not at the nozzle end. Also, when you're checking these, it's good to take it, verify your gasket's in place, everything turns correctly, your threads are not broken, sealed, knurled, damaged in any way, and that your actual proportioner is dialed in for the foam concentrate on board. If this setting is off, based off the concentrate of foam you have, it will be less effective or ineffective completely. Important things to look for when you're actually conducting an operational test at your fire station valve. Should operate freely, open and close all the way. Also, you should be able to get your entire hand, and it should have no obstructions when opening or closing. When you do charge the hose, if there is water leaking from here at the packing, it may be all right, as this can be a maintenance item where the crew can take it apart, install new packing, or tighten the packing nut itself. Not a showstopper. Also, we're going to verify while the fire hose is charged, verify there's no leaks, pinholes, ruptures, verify that the hose is tight under pressure. You shouldn't be able to stand on it and squish it closed or create any type of resistance in the fire hose. Also, verify that the nozzle works. Full open, straight stream, variable fog, depending on the type of nozzle and the requirement for the vessel. If the vessel is equipped with fire monitors, we'll also test those operationally, energize the fire main system, open up the fire monitors and exercise them to their stops, make sure they don't spray into the bridge, on deck, or spray people overboard. To summarize, inspecting fire stations, fire hoses, fire nozzles, and associated equipment using our PTC checklist, we talked about hydration, the hydrant equipment, verifying condition, verifying your spanner wrench, verifying hose length and size depending on vessel, as well as nozzle approval and size depending on the vessel requirements. We talked about operation of fire monitors, operational testing. We talked about our foam applicators and associated equipment. And we talked about the fire hydrant being ready and operable. If during any part of this you have any questions or anything that comes up that you are curious about, be sure to write it down so you can ask your local coach or VO when you go out.